Welcome to the podcast. Thanks very much for coming in. We know farmers are extremely busy, lads. Thanks for taking time out to call in.
Thanks, it actually took a year to get this. They were just that busy, you know.
The weather was so good, lads. We couldn't come in.
Would you like to introduce yourself? So,
yeah,
where you're from?
I'm Maurice Walsh and I'm from Carhu, Kilbehenny, Mitchelstown, County Cork. Well, it's actually County Limerick. Sorry. It all depends who's looking for me. If there's the revenue, I'm from Limerick. If there's Cork, or if Cork is winning or whatever. Sorry, I'm from over.
I'm Mairead Barron and I'm dairy farming in Clannypower, Carrigan-Shore, County Waterford.
Carrigan-Shore's tip now. This is not
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's another revenue dodge.
We're from Cahir, County Offaly here.
Lads, thanks for coming in. I don't know if you heard, we attempted to discuss farming on the podcast and we did such a bad job. We said we'd have to get actual farmers in. Maurice, you're farming and you're milking?
Yeah, milking cows, dairy farming. Milk is my game. So dairy, even though I do carry a few beef cattle as well, but milk, because we're in the heart of dairy down in Mitchelstown, being of course Dairy Gold being our local milk processor. So it's crazy down there. Like the expansion that has gone on in the last 3 or 4 years, it's mental, you know. But milk is the game.
Milk, would it be fair to say now that kind of dairy is where the money is at the moment in farming?
Look, I've no problem saying it. It is milk. Milk seems to be the better option as farming is concerned. You know, like the beef buys are getting such a hammering at the moment, and we all know the way the weather was in August. The tillage buys have been nailed to the cross as well. So milk for 2020 seems to be the one. My
main issue is that there's not enough lads drinking Irish beer. The breweries don't need the barley, and the barley's getting turned away, going for feed. So I'm asking everyone now to go out and get scuttered straight away for the farmers.
But look how clean their liver and their kidneys are. Like their complexion are a lot better. They should actually start drinking milk, a lot more milk.
Okay.
No, go down to your local, get a pint of milk.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Mairead, you're in dairy farming as well?
Yeah, so I come from a family farm, but I actually only started farming in my own right in 2018. So I started leasing a farm down in Clonee with the help of my parents, obviously, but I run it 100% on my own. So I'm milking 90 cows at the moment, and I hope to go to 100 next year and max it out then at 110 2022. So yeah, big plans.
What made you think, like, right, I want to get into farming?
Sure, it was always there. Like, you know, when you grow up with it, you're looking at it every day. It's kind of forced into you. I thought I'd go off and get a nice cushy job
in an
at
office
Chagas or something. Yeah,
like the boys.
Yeah. Good wages, good pension. But no, I went to New Zealand then for 6 months. I did dairy business in UCD.
Dairy business?
Yeah. So it was a new enough course at the time. I think they were only 4 years into it when we started. And 2014 then we went to New Zealand for 6 months, and that's kind of where I really, really got into it. You know, when your father's trying to force you out at home, you don't want to do a tap for him. So New Zealand then, you know, you're out on your own, you have to do it. There's no going away inside. So did that, got on really, really well. My manager offered me a 2IC second in command position out there. So I was keen to take that, but I was made to come home anyway and get my degree and whatever. So after that then I just wanted to go farming. I didn't want to be stuck in an office. I wanted to be out getting covered in shit. Yeah.
You caught the bug.
Yeah, basically.
So glamorous.
Yeah, I know.
So you have a degree in dairy business.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, not many farmers would have a degree in that kind of thing. So, like,
No.
have you a very different approach now because you went to college for it?
No.
You're not using your degree at all?
Not really. Like the nutritional aspects and things like that, the breeding, they all come into play, but not to the extent that UCD wanted you to use them. Like most of the lads in my year, they plan on going home eventually, but a lot of them right now they're working for companies, feed mills, and that kind of stuff. So they're using their degree more so than I would. If I'd known at the time, I'd have been better off if I went to Kildalton or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But no, I wouldn't knock the UCD course at all. Like it was unreal. It just, I figured out too late that I wanted to go farming.
But you see, there's no coppers or Ryans in Kildalton.
No, there's not. And you'd be up and down the road every day to Mammy. So.
The UCD ag students have a fantastic reputation for being the best crack in Dublin now. Yourselves and the nurses now are neck and neck. So you didn't bother with the green cert?
No, but you get it after 2 years of doing the ag science courses in UCD. You have it, but they won't give it to you until you until you finish. So
to-
Until you're down 12 pints of Guinness in Ryan's.
So to be a farmer in Ireland now, you have to have the green cert.
You do. Because for a lot of reasons, really. Because even for grants and stuff like that, you need to have a third level education in being a farmer.
Well, I have to ask you, what do you say now to the people who are saying, the farmers, they get loads of grants?
Yes, you're dead right. You get loads of grants. And I've no problems fucking ever saying it. Right? We have loads of problems getting grants, and we don't want the grants. But we'd rather not get grants, but get more for our milk. Like, fellas, and I was waiting for you guys to answer this. I've been fucking up all night thinking of this. Like. I'm inside in the milk and parlour this morning, so I know them boys are going to fucking start asking about the brown envelopes coming from the EU and all.
Europe,
so sit back now, lads, and I'll tell you.
Here we go.
Listen, food has never been as cheap in the world in 2020. Go back in your grandfather's times, right, or even in your father's times. You don't have to go back 100 years at all. They worked to survive. They worked to put bread and food on the table. Now you can go into your Aldi's, your Lidl's, your Tesco's. You can get a sliced pan and 2 litres of milk for €2.
Yeah.
Like, food has been wasted in my eyes. It's so cheap. To go back to your brown envelopes, we're getting a top up on our payments for our beef and our milk because we're selling our product too cheap. Simple as that. And that sums it up in a nutshell. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So the supermarkets are selling Irish produced food cheap because what? They're afraid
it's competitive. It's competition and stuff like that, you know. So they're just it's so cheap to buy food. You go into Aldi or Lidl or Tesco, and I don't want to be mentioning names now, but any large supermarket, people's trolleys are full. I've seen a man even the other night with his 2 kids, and they're just throwing stuff in left, right and centre. Go back 50 years ago, you went for the bear shop. The bear, bottled milk, the sliced pan, the bear was put on the table that day.
Cut a ham, maybe an egg.
Like, if anybody, exactly. If you go to anybody's fridge, the amount of stuff that people fuck out of their fridge and throw away, the waste of food, you know. So, and it's all because if people were just, you know, didn't waste food and paid a little bit more to the farmer, we don't want the EU checks. But we've no other choice to get the EU checks, because if we don't get them, we won't survive. We won't be able to substantially, you know, there's too much overheads.
Well, where do you see farming going? So do you think we'll end up like New Zealand or America, where they're all big massive farms, aren't they? There's no small, like your average farm in Ireland is probably less than 100 acres.
The average dairy gold supplier, and because we talk about dairy gold because they're around here, are 96 cows. That's the average. But like,
whereas in America it's probably 1,000.
Thousands,
5, 6,
yeah.
700.
But we're going down.
Farm.
We're going that road. We want to be very careful. Like, and I've nearly been shot inside meetings, you know, because of, you know, this. People. The expansion, as I mentioned already, that has gone on since 2015, since the milk quotas were done away with. Fellas have lost the run of the mill of themselves. I think I'm milking 85 cows, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a small farmer. Right? If you go back 40 years ago, it was a huge farm, 85 cows. 30, 40 cows was massive.
Yeah, but things have to progress too. Yeah.
They do. But remember what happened in the Celtic Tiger when they progressed?
Is this a milk boom?
This is a milk boom. And if fellas are not careful, they'll be working for the rest, and their next generation will work for the rest of their lives to make back the payments.
It seems like if you have a farm, so you have, say, 100 cows, and that's what one person can manage. Yeah. And then if you're going to expand it all, there's no point in getting 105 cows.
Correct.
You may as well go to 200 and hire someone.
Well, it takes 35 cows to pay a man's wages. So you have to have 35 cows extra to pay for one labour.
Okay.
So as you say, there's no point in going 105. You're either all or nothing. You're as well off to go 170, 180, 200 cows to have the extra man.
And Mairead, when you were deciding to get into it like that, why did you not say, sure, look, I'll just do a bit on the family farm? You wanted to go all out on your own. And
because I have an older brother and he's at home more
he got
or
the
less.
Stake in before you, is that it?
He kind of got an interest and I got an interest all of a sudden.
Okay.
That's the way I like to say it anyways, but he wouldn't tell you that. But no, he's at home more or less full time, but in the summer then he's contracting, so, but like, Mam is at home too. She retired maybe 2 or 3 years ago, so there's already 4 of them at home. And then if I went home as well, there'd just be war. Like, it would be unbearable. Like, it's grand, we all get on, but even sometimes when Daddy's below with me, I'm just like, would he ever go away? So no,
But is there
all our opinions are too strong. We couldn't. 5 of us at home, no way.
Yeah, like, are the younger farmers doing things differently?
Oh, big time.
Big time.
But,
Yeah.
What are the big
older, like my father now, he's great. He'll listen and he'll do anything. He'll progress. But some fellas, no hope of it. Like
a lot of them as well, I think now are by the book as well.
Yeah.
You know, like and it's great to hear Mairead third, you know, her experience or what she, you know, third level education in farming, and I did the green cert, but that's as far as I went. Like, but they're looking at the. You have to be practical with fucking farming, lads.
Yeah.
Like, in fairness, you've got like leaving out cows in the month of January in Ireland is a no. But if you open the likes of the papers, and I don't want to start mentioning papers, like, and they'll say, "Oh, have your cows out by the 20th of January." We're in Ireland, like, it pisses fucking rain in Ireland, like, for, you know, like, the ground is too soft and it won't work. But like, they're listening too much of that. You have to be practical in farming. You've got to go with what the weather is like out there and be practical about it. Throw away the books, lads, and throw away the calendar. Because you can't go by the calendar.
Throw away the clock.
Throw away, forget about the clock. Farmers don't have clocks.
Yes, they just have things to do.
Listen
Yes.
to me. You get up in the morning when it starts to get bright, and you go to bed when it gets dark, and that's it. And you keep working. If farmers got minimum wage for every hour they didn't farm, we'd be fucking millionaires.
And why do so many lads still go into farming if it's that
Because
tough?
it's a great life.
It's
a good life, isn't it, Mairead?
Yeah.
It's the satisfaction you get out of farming, and you know the whole. You'll never understand what it is like to be a farmer unless you are a farmer. To stand in a field and look at a field of cows in a good field of grass and seeing that the cows are good condition and they're happy, it will put goosebumps on your hands, like on your arms. Like, it's just absolutely brilliant.
I always thought, like, obviously my Mrs. Father is a farmer now, and just by the look of me you can tell I don't be down the farm too much, but I was like, geez, he's a grand, like, sure, he only works for 4 hours a day. And then she was like, milking, and then she was like, say that to him. And I was
Is that happened to your eye, Johnny?
yeah, and I was like, I won't say that to him. But it's much more than just like milking in the morning, milking in the evenings. There's much more around.
Oh, it is much more, isn't it, Mairead? Like the satisfaction you'll get of like the weather, of course, is everything to us. You know, the weather is worth 3 cents a litre to us. And fellas saying, like, why? If the conditions are right and the cows are right and the cows are happy, they're going to produce better milk. They're going to be happier themselves. And if the cows are happy, you're content yourself and you're happy yourself.
That's a fair way of putting it now.
What I wonder about is, so the farmers, you say you learn to milk and you learn about grass, but there must be a million other skills and things you need to know. Like, how do you learn it all? Do you know, like,
you just
repair
pick it
and
up
things?
over time, and like it's all practice. The more you do it, the more you'll pick it up. Like, when I started out, I kept saying to mother and father, like, I'm not ready. They pushed me into it, really. They knew I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'll wait now another couple of years and I have a few bob and things. And they were like, what are you doing? Like, what are you waiting for? Just do it now. You'll never do it when you're 30. Like, you're not going to do it. So we went off and did it, and like, I thought I hadn't a clue. But you do, like, when you're going around and you're on your own, you can take your time to think about it.
Yeah.
There's no one over your shoulder constantly watching you, and you're like, oh, I'm going to fuck up now with you looking at me. But you can mess up as much as you want, but it's all learning. Like, I messed up so much in 2018, and now this year I'm laughing. Like,
Well, what are the big mistakes that you made going into it?
like, I wasn't on the ball, really. I was distracted. Like, I thought I was a great young one going off doing all this, and Usher just, you know, breeding season stresses me out because it's just, I hate it. But I had a wicked high empty rate in 18 because I wasn't on the ball. Like, I wasn't checking my cows properly. I checked them in the morning. That was it. Like,
would you explain what an empty rate is for people who?
So it's the percentage of cows in the herd that didn't go in calf. So you start putting them in calf, and I start in March.
Yeah, as most farmers are spring calving.
Yeah.
So it's March or, you know,
April kind of onwards. You'd start breeding them. And then sure, you'd scan them. I scan in September.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I had 17% of what was I milking back then, 80. So there was about over 20 or so empty. So slaughter, really waste the cows.
Jesus.
And and then last
That's
year
a big expense, like.
Yeah. Oh, you don't.
Huge money.
You could sell a milking cow for what, 1,300 euro
minimum.
Slaughter 5,
Yeah.
4.
A cow is no good unless she goes in calf.
Yeah.
She has to go in calf every year to produce milk. It's a mammal. So, like, that's most important.
Yeah.
I spoke about cows' health in the field a while ago. Like,
Yeah.
a cow has to be perfectly healthy number one, to produce milk, but obviously to go back in calf again for the year afterwards.
And there's a lot to getting her to that. Like her body condition has to be right. Her feed, her health, everything has to be.
She can't
100%.
be stressed.
Yeah. You can't go in screaming and shouting at cows, or they'll start throwing calves.
Is this why farmers always have the radio on in the milking parlour?
Absolutely, yeah.
The radio is supposed to. If the radio de-stresses the farmer, then the cows
absolutely.
are calm.
They'll know, won't they, Marie?
Yeah.
They'll know if you're stressed. Like I'm often fucking going and I'm rushing and racing.
Yeah.
That is the day they'll shit down and fucking top you. Every one of them. Now I swear to God, fucking sometimes my father lives in the farm and like he's a smoker, but if they smell it, he's fucking. If they saw him come with a fag at all, like they'll fucking shit like mad. Straight, like they're the most cleverest animal.
They'll pick up. One of you could come into the parlour and they'll know straight away there's something different.
No, they'll smell the boys anyway.
Bang a pack or a band.
Insignia.
And what then? They'll shit all over you.
Oh yeah.
Or
So
kick
like,
you.
and if one come raid, you'll know nearly in the first row of cows whether there's going to be a shit fucking party or a fucking milking. Like if one shits it all, they'll all start. And. The last row, the last row for me, they're the fucking most nervous bitches of all. Like, you'll know the last row, there's always one going to shit in the last row. No, and I don't mind the cow shitting because we all shit, like, everybody has to go to the toilet, but like, why do it in the parlour? But apart from that, right, it's the cow that will shit. And she'll shit on her tail, and she'll start swinging her fucking tail left, and like you'll get it in the mouth, in the ear. My eye's actually bloodshot today because I got a lump of shit yesterday morning into the eye, like so optic straight away and fucking stuff. But guaranteed,
you're not selling it to me, Morris.
I don't begrudge you the grants anymore. No.
You
sure get more.
But
Jeez, so when you get up in the morning, I take it you hardly bother with the hair and makeup every morning, do you?
No, never. I said this is the first time I washed, or not washed.
This is for you lads.
Dried my hair and brushed it. Like I usually just get out of the shower, throw it up in a bun and sleep in it, and I'd sleep like that for 3 days. I wouldn't even take it down, like so.
Glamorous.
Yeah, with it.
Did you ever, did you ever get treated differently because you're a young woman, like in farming?
Not really. I know a lot of girls that are in farming have experienced it, but I was lucky enough now I haven't. When I first started out, like obviously the people locally knew that there was a male farming there and that I was taking it over. They're a little bit sceptical, obviously, but like sales reps and things would come into the yard and they'd be like, "Oh, is the boss around, or is your father around?" And I at the start, Daddy used to be there the whole time, so I couldn't be. I was like, "Yeah, he's over there." But after a while, then I was like, "Yeah, I'm running the place," and they kind of look at you like, "Oh, all right," but like it's grand. I've never. One of the neighbours one time he made a comment. I was crossing the cows, putting them across the road. You have to cross the main road, and I was hunting him out, and he stopped and he was chatting to me, and he was like, "I'm so and so, I'm up the road," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard about you, whatever," and he goes, "Aren't you a great little girl to be doing this?" I said, "Yeah," and now every time I see him now, I make a comment of it to him, and he's wicked embarrassed about it. But sure, yeah, that's the only thing. No, I've never.
Yeah, but it's great from like to see like some Mareda and even in farming organisations or even dairy milk boards, it's great to see that there's a lot more ladies and girls taking up the job, because it's not an easy job, lads. It's it's a physical side of it as well,
And you have 2 sons yourself?
I have 3 sons, and none of them would look at a cow.
Go away.
Wouldn't fucking look at a cow.
What age are they?
26. Aaron is 26, Dara 22, and I have a young Keen, he's 10, but he has no interest either. No interest.
So none of them will probably go into farming?
No, and I wouldn't push him to it.
No? How do you feel about them?
I've no problem with it. No problem whatsoever, because I'm going to sell the whole fucking lot and go to Lanzarote.
A man after my own heart, but
no, I'm not. The farm will never be sold. The farm will be passed down to the lads, because we can go back 5 generations. I'll never sell the farm, but I'd never encourage. Look, unless you're into farming and you love farming, there's no point in being a farmer. It's got to be in here. Look, it's got to be in the heart. You have got to love it. But the lads they've no interest. No, Aaron would milk cows a year or 2 ago if I wanted him. He doesn't know no more. I've got a lad coming in milking cows for me.
Oh, jeez, there's farmers at home listening to this.
Yeah.
Fucking the radio out the window. You have a lad at home and he won't help.
No, and I'm not saying, but we have pretty good setup. New parlour, new milking machine, new everything. We went to whole greenfield site in 2015. It's pretty. But I don't mind that because where I am, as I mentioned already, there's loads of lads.
Yeah.
You know, there's loads of farmers to expand and take on.
But it's gas. So you're saying you don't mind if they don't get into it, but at the same time, you wouldn't dream of selling the farm.
No, because I got it from my father. He got it from his father, and back along. Like, what would I do with it? I'd spend obviously end up spending it stupidly or whatever. The farm will be there for someone, or maybe separated, and they kind of, you know, they might have a bit of dry stock maybe in years to come or whatever.
Yeah. So what happens then? You will, if the lads don't work it, will you rent it out?
I'll rent it out. I'll rent it out and lease it. Yeah, that's my plan in the next couple of years. Yeah.
And then
I'm not going to be married to it as well, because at the end of the day, farming is a job. And like I know farmers, and they're middle-aged men, and they've got knee replacements, they've got hip replacements, and their hands are broken. Sunday is their busiest day. You know what I mean? They're flat out. They've taken on too much. And I say, what's it all for? You eat the same dinner as them every day. You sleep in the same bed as them every day. Like, you know, you can wrap your hands around the world, but like, what's the point of killing yourself? Yeah. Farming is lovely if you're not stressed.
Yeah. And how do you manage then to take holidays? Because like, you know, it's grand for someone working a normal job to say, here, look, I'm off that week. You know, you can't just be like, well, I'm taking tomorrow off. Yeah. Or like, you've got to get help in.
Oh, you've got to get help. No, and I didn't for the last year or two. But thank God in the last couple of months I've got a lad in, and I booked him. I'm off every Sunday now.
Grant.
So
this is one day anyway.
Yeah, one day. So, well, Sunday evenings. I milk Sunday mornings, and you know.
Yeah, don't take the piss altogether.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't want to be pushing it too far, but I'm taking more now than I ever did before, and because I realise, you see, I thought that nobody else could do this job as good as me.
Yeah.
And I said, like, there's no point, like, and you know, like, Jesus, he'll never be able to milk him, like, and he won't know cow number 743. She's slow in 1 quarter, or do you know what I mean? Or 47 now will be the last come in, or if there's a cow bulling, or she's going to dairy, or whatever the case may be. But you have to take the chance, you know.
Maria, like, how do you work the work-life balance?
I get the father down.
Like, do you end up working 7 days a week, or what way? You do?
Yeah, Sundays are my day off. I milk in morning and evening. I don't do anything in the middle of the day. I go home for the dinner, and then I come back and I milk. But I wouldn't do anything else. Like, you'd see lads, as I said, out spreading fertiliser, doing silly jobs after Sunday. Like, I just milk. That's it.
I'm amazed that like some of our mates who are farmers can just go all night and then they just milk the cows like by default the next morning. How do you manage that? Or like, because if I'm going out on a Saturday night, I'd be clearing the diary for 2 days afterwards because I just can't do anything. Like, I don't know how you.
I'll tell you, it's easier as soon as you're home to just get into the wellies. Milk the cows. Just go.
Get it out of the way.
Just do it, and then you can spend all day in bed. But it's like, if you're going out on a Saturday night, you know you have to be there Sunday morning, unless you have someone booked to come in and you can go do the dog on it. You know you have to take it somewhere reasonable, and you have to come back and milk Sunday morning. Like, it's grand, you might push it out maybe an hour.
If the bull tank can come in, you'll get another half an hour out of it.
Yeah.
Wait, have you ever milked cows at like 4 in the morning after a night out?
Yeah. Joe Dolan playing in the background.
How much is it to get someone in to milk cows?
It all depends on your herd, I suppose, really.
The going rate is like €40 an hour. That's through FRS or one of those.
Jesus, don't say that, because I'm only giving my man €40 to milk the whole lot of them.
So you couldn't be paying 40 or 80 euro to have someone come in.
Or go on a week's holidays now. You belong rush. You know, fucking, it's what, 700 or 800 euros for the week milking, like, or maybe €1,000 for the week milking. It all depends on your herd. I'd say about 70 or 80, €50 to €60 for 100 herd cows or whatever. But like, you've got to take a break from it. You know, otherwise you'll get swallowed up in it. You know.
Maria, so you're renting the farm?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And are you living on site as well then?
Yeah.
So if you were renting it, you said you took out a long enough lease. Was it 10 or 15 years?
15, yeah.
So what happens in 15 years if you've all this work and effort and money gone in, and they're like, jeez, I've actually a nephew or niece there who wants to rent it. Like, are you going to go full Bull McCabe on the farm, or what's going to happen?
I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about lately now. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to pass it every day seeing someone else in there. Like, myself and the father, like, helping me. The farm was a mess. Like, it was grand, the facilities were good, but it was a messy shit thrown everywhere and just like hoarding things for years. The place now is immaculate if you went down there, and like the grassland is just the work that's been done. Like, I don't want to make my head any bigger, but like,
I did a class job.
We put in serious work, and like, to see someone else could come along then and they'd only put in half the effort you had, and you'd just see it deteriorate. I wouldn't be able. So I was thinking about it. I'd nearly approach. I don't think he'd ever sell, because it's a family farm.
Yes, like my story.
But I'd nearly approach him at the end and say, if you're thinking about it, I'd be interested, or even extend the lease by a couple of more years. Like, I don't know.
But I don't think Mairead can think like that either, because if she does think like that, she'll never go forward.
Push herself on.
You'll never push yourself forward. And like, if he's any fair man, that he has he'll see how good of a job she's doing of it. You know, and you know. But the other thing, of course, is, and you have to do a minimum, I think, of 10 years, because the farmer who rents that land gets full tax relief. On if you do 10 or 15 years plus, so he's better off. It's called armchair farming. He's better off sitting. It is.
I like it. Yes, that would suit us. Yeah,
that's it. The problem is, lads, you've no fucking farm. Oh, look, even a fella says to me one time, he says, "Would you buy another farm?" I says, "I would, but I've no place to put it."
Yeah.